the school nurse is probably on summer vacation, just as your kids maybe are right now. So your child comes down with some symptoms. They don't feel so great by the mid-morning. You're home alone. What do? Don't forget your ABCs is the answer. Joining us now, Dr. Elizabeth Murray, with what you should have on hand at home. And I admit, I just went through my medicine cabinet, and there was a whole bunch of stuff that I was like, I don't know if I've ever used any of this stuff. And I feel like whenever my daughter does get sick, then I go out and buy something else, and then I just add to this.
And you add, and you have a pile, and you realize it expired in 2014, like I did with this when I was putting our kit together.
So what do we need, and what do we need to know about it?
So I think you need to have some simple things, and you need to plan it for your environment. If you're taking a camping trip and you're gone in the middle of the woods for a week, obviously that's going to be a much more extensive kit. But the basic stuff for home, I like to say ABCs. So A meaning an allergy medicine or an anti-itch thing. So something like Benadryl and the anti-itch creams, and knowing the dosage. So every step of the way I'm gonna say, and know the dosage of the medicine for your child. And then B, bandages and stuff for wounds, and then C, comfort measures. So things like ibuprofen, Tylenol, ice packs. Sometimes Band-Aids are comfort measures too, depending on the age of your child.
A lot of Band-Aids that get used that don't actually need to be used. But let's go back to the dosage. Sure. That seems to be key.
Yes, and you will notice on, I think, all of these medications here, even ones that are appropriate for infants, they'll say on them, consult with a physician if your child's under 2. So without fail, it's 3 in the morning, your 1-year-old has a fever, now what do you do? Most pediatricians will give you that information at your well-child check, so they'll say, all right, your child weighs this much, this is the dose. You can also look it up online, but remember, that's part of what we do in the well-child checks. You need to have that information, say, all right, bump in the night, doc, what am I going to do? And they'll go through the tips with you. A lot of doctors' offices will have websites too, and that information will be on there. So it's a weight-based dose, and giving that dose is going to be important. You know, we all used to use a teaspoon. We say, oh, a teaspoon of medicine, grab it from our kitchen supplies. It turns out that there's a tremendous amount of variety. This is our kitchen spoon. I measured it out last night. It's actually more like a teaspoon and a half.
Wow.
So if I was using this for my daughter, it'd be an incorrect dosage. So you really need some type of medication dosing device that's got the exact markings right on it.
Wow. And so we've got the A's, the B's, and then the C's. This is probably what a lot of us are going to be using. You just told me something surprising about, you know, they get a stomach ache, you give them something for stomach relief. There might be more in there than you think.
You need to be careful. So these medicines in the middle here are kind of things we wouldn't necessarily recommend. So adults, grown-ups can take the lovely pink stuff to settle their stomach, but it actually, as it's digested, has an ingredient like aspirin in it. So we know kids, when they have fevers, should never get aspirin. It can cause really dangerous side effects. So we're always going to avoid aspirin in children, and this actually can be digested as aspirin. Interestingly enough, the children's version of it is basically just Tums. It's just a simple antacid. And so again, the aspirin, we're not going to be giving that to children.
I feel like whenever I call a doctor, the first question they always ask is, do they have a fever? What is their temperature? I can never get these to work, but this should always be sort of step one, right?
Right, so temperature. So we all fear fevers, but in reality, fevers are helpful. We don't like them because they make us feel bad. The times we're going to really worry about a fever is if we have a child with a serious chronic medical condition, such as sickle cell. We have a huge sickle cell population in Rochester, actively being treated for cancer. And then one that most people I don't think know about, and that's infants that are less than 3 months of age. If they have a fever, that's a do not pass go directly to the emergency department, medical emergency, and I think a lot of people don't realize that. And when we talk about fever, a true medical temperature is a temperature of 100.5 or greater. And yes, your infant will forgive you. You have to do a rectal temperature. It's going to be okay. So
they won't remember.
A thermometer like this can be used under the arm, it can be used in the mouth, and it can be used rectally. Then the ear thermometers are going to be okay for the older children. We don't want these in infants, but you can use them for the bigger kids, and it's going to be okay. Especially, again, when you're not concerned about the exact temperature, you just want a ballpark of where the temp is.
To make sure the batteries are good before you go to bed in the middle of the night. We know we covered a lot today. We'll post this online for you if you want to rewatch it and sort of take down all of the notes when you are ready. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. And she has the case to match her outfit. Of course she does, right? Of course she does. Coming up next, the new way to experience the Jazz Festival and how the festival is giving back in a really cool way.